Welcome inside the Iroquois Park Sports Center in Whitby at the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club. Welcome in the Coburg Kodiaks for the third home game of the season for Brooklyn. Jack Moore and Andrew Osmond along with you on Major Series Lacrosse on RogersTV. Andrew, after a loss against Six Nations last week on home floor, Brooklyn went on the road and a pretty handily win over the Coburg Kodiaks as we take a look at the Major Series Lacrosse standings in 2024. And it's been a great start to the year for Brooklyn's side from that one hiccup last week against Six Nations.
Yeah, you said it, Jack. The only one game they have not won this year was against the Six Nations Chiefs at home just last week, but they bounced back with a 14-4 victory against those Kodiaks. But they're coming in tonight against a team, the Brampton Excelsiors, that won their last and their first game of this season. That one was a 10-9 close game win over the Owen Sound North Stars. So both teams here, Brooklyn and Brampton, able to get victories against those North Stars this season. But we come tonight for their first matchup of two in this MSL regular season.
And this Brooklyn Lacrosse Club team, we talked about it week number one. We touched on it a little bit last week, but this is a team trying to insert themselves into that upper echelon. Through 40 minutes of play, they were right there with the Six Nations Chiefs. It was one period that got away from them. Yeah,
it really was. And we were talking to the coaching staff pre-game today, and they're really giving credit to the organization, not just within Brooklyn, but the whole Whitby and Durham region area for lacrosse, especially with the Whitby Merchants as well. A lot of the guys have played together there. So, we see Austin Shanks, for example, not in the lineup again tonight for the back-to-back games now without the leading scorer Austin Shanks for Brooklyn. But they're not too concerned because the guys that are coming in to fill the lineup have played together maybe on the Merchants or this Brooklyn team at some point. So there is that chemistry to build as a younger team, and the guys that are younger played together with those Merchants. And that's not really a concern for Brooklyn coming in tonight. The guys coming in maybe know each other a little bit, which is an advantage for this Brooklyn team, not just right now in this season, but also moving forward in years to come.
Brooklyn taking to the floor in their new sleek black uniforms, and that's something new for this team as well.
Yeah, we were looking forward to it. We heard after the first game or during the first game of the season that Brooklyn was going to have some new jerseys, and we're seeing them for the first time tonight. No longer home red. They are now a home black with a white combo, and then on the road they'll be sporting a similar design, but the white jersey like they have been before. Here now we're seeing Brooklyn across the chest from corner of their shoulder down to their hip area there. So a little bit of a different look to the jerseys and color scheme here at home for Brooklyn, which we're excited to see here for the first time.
But you talk about that organizational buy-in. We talked to Gavin Prout before this season. That was a point that he made pre-game one for this Brooklyn team, is when guys are missing, they're not concerned about the guys coming into the lineup. Like you mentioned, Austin Shanks not playing second game in a row. He's not playing for Brooklyn. 19 points on the year, leading Major Series Lacrosse. But Jackson Raposo, who's a guy who played at Johns Hopkins, is into the lineup here for Brooklyn, and they have a lot of really good depth pieces that they expect to elevate their game when they get on the floor here in Major Series Lacrosse.
Yeah, they really do. It might look like a bit of a new coaching staff this season, which it is to some extent for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club, but they do have Gavin Prout, as you mentioned, the GM. He's been here for a couple of years, so he understands, the Kiernan brothers that are here again, Kyle Waters, that are returning, so he knows that core group of guys that he's trying to build around, but also because he's been in the system for a while, and now he is structuring the team. He's able to see at the Merchant level, who can come up and who does he think is qualified and ready for that next step if they're a bit younger and ready to face off against, some adults here and with some NLL experience as well.
First of a back-to-back for Brooklyn coming into tonight. They're in Peterborough tomorrow taking on the Lakers, who they got swept by in the first round of the playoffs last year. And again, they want to show teams in Major Series Lacrosse that they are in that upper echelon, and they have a chance to make a statement tonight against Brampton before heading on the road to Peterborough tomorrow.
Yeah, and more importantly too is within today and tomorrow, if they get back-to-back wins, they'll now be that top team in the MSL, which we've talked about being along the likes of the Peterborough Lakers and those Six Nations Chiefs. They lost to those Chiefs, but getting that win tomorrow, they do business, get their job done here today. But if they can do that tomorrow as well against Peterborough, that's looking really good for this Brooklyn team that's starting to gel. And even without Austin Shanks, we don't know if he'll be back for tomorrow's game or what the case may be there. But if they can do so without him in the lineup, that just speaks even more volumes, in this MSL, and really, gets their stamp on things to say we're here to play and we're here to compete.
Lots to look forward to this season, but Brooklyn's got to take care of business against Brampton here tonight. We'll take it to the floor for O Canada before we meet the starting goaltenders.
And now please rise if you're able, remove your caps, and join in the playing of O Canada. O Canada.
Getting set for opening ball drop here at the Iroquois Park Sports Center in Major Series Lacrosse action between Brampton and Brooklin as we take a look at our starting goaltender, starting with the Brampton Excelsiors, Andrew.
And getting the fourth start of the fourth game of the season for those Brampton Excelsiors is going to be, once again, Will Johnston. Like I said, fourth start. He started in all the previous three. He's got a 1-2 record here, and he has a goals against coming in at 9.8, save percentage at .423. He'll get the nod tonight. Backing up is Caleb Slinger. He'll be on the bench in case coach wants to put him in the lineup.
And over for Brooklyn, we get the first look at Riley Hutchcraft this year.
Yeah, the guy who was the Defensive Player of the Year last 2023 MSL season is getting his first start here this year for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club. Up until this point, it's been Zach Higgins carrying the load, but maybe with tomorrow's game against Peterborough is maybe why Higgins is on the bench. Hutchcraft played in 15 games, starting 14 of them in the regular season last year for this Brooklyn team, and we'll get our first look at him here today.
Brooklyn's going to get the opening possession of the game. Tanner Cook up the floor off the opening face-off win. So first possession of the game goes to the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club, and here's Kyle Waters. We talked about him a little bit last week, Andrew. Quiet season to begin this year with just one goal through the first 4 games of the season for Brooklyn. Is Kiernan off to Waters, and he couldn't control that pass. So Brampton will get away with Brooklyn not getting a shot on goal on their first possession, and they're quickly up the floor with numbers. Holding on to it is Josh Medeiros. He steps in, and that gets stopped by Hutchcraft. The defending Defensive Player of the Year in Major Series Lacrosse, like you mentioned. Rochester Nighthawks in the National Lacrosse League makes the opening save of the game. Brock Haley, big game on Sunday in Coburg with 3 goals and 4 assists. Looking for the drop, but it's Graydon Hogg who picks up top. Now it's Luke Keenan. Off to the boards for Kiernan. Quickly off is Brooklyn working it around the offensive zone. That shot gets through, but Haley didn't hit the net. And that's going to be over and back against Brooklyn as Liam Osborne wasn't able to keep it over center.
Will Johnson not having to make any special saves just yet. Riley Hutchcraft has made 1 so far, and it was a point-blank one to stop Brampton from opening the scoring.
Holden Patterson starting things off for Brampton here. Early in the shot clock, gets a screen and works this one off. J.P. Ward, 3 goals and 3 assists so far this year. He tries to drive in. Ward shoots, and that gets stopped by Hutchcraft. So Brooklyn getting some good stops from their goaltender in the opening 95 seconds of the game. Kyle Waters back on the floor with Brady Kiernan. Curtis Knight plays that one to Tanner Cook. Back to Knight. Out in front for Hogg, and his shot bounces before the net. Couldn't get it. Now it's Waters picking up the rebound, and that gets stopped by Will Johnston, his first save of the game. Nick Shakowski, fresh off the bench, gets a new shot clock, and he'll go back for a change as Brock Haley comes back onto the floor. Brady Kiernan off for Graydon Hogg as Tanner Cook steps back out. Now it's Kiernan down low. Kiernan looking for a lane. He gets that through. Johnston makes the save. Rebound picked up by Tanner Cook in front, and his behind the back shot missed the net and bounces off to Brampton, who goes back up the floor. Brampton returned to Major Series Lacrosse last season after that first year back from COVID. Did not play when it was just 4 teams. They work it around the offensive end of the floor. That shot doesn't get through as Hutchcraft made the initial save, and the rebound was picked up by Mark Van Scheppen. And Brooklyn back up the floor. Shakowski starting the transition for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club, looking for their 4th win of the season. 2 against Owen Sound, 1 on Sunday against Coburg. As driving in is Connor Kiernan, but he gets turned away by Johnston. Brampton turns this one over quickly, so it's Jack Travassos sending it back up the floor for Brooklyn, and this transition game getting a bit of a workout here in the early going for Brooklyn. Curtis Knight can feed that pass in front, and there was a foul on the floor against Brampton. It's going to stay Brooklyn ball.
Yeah, McClellan kind of pushed his man, or the offensive player, I think it was Brady Kiernan from behind there, or Connor Kiernan rather, to the ground, so they'll get reset here in the offensive zone.
Brady Kiernan in front, and they score. Luke Keenan opens the scoring 3 minutes, 34 seconds into the first period, and Brooklyn capitalizes on that foul against Brampton.
And that's going to be Luke Keenan's 4th goal of the season here, and just off of that foul, gets that pass nicely there, tucked in from Brady Kiernan, and Luke Keenan just goes right between the legs of the goaltender. It opens the scoring here, Brooklyn with a 1-0 lead.
Good job to be able to work that ball through the traffic in front. Be able to slip in behind the D for Brooklyn is Shakowski. Back into the offensive end of the floor. We talked about that last week against Six Nations with the dominance of Thompson, Jeremy Thompson on the face-offs. Was the possession going to Six Nations after every face-off? As that shot from Tanner Cook hit the crossbar and goes out of play, will stay Brooklyn ball with a fresh shot clock. But Brooklyn 2 for 2 in the face-off department here tonight.
And here again with an offensive reset here to keep those Brampton defenders on the floor.
Graydon Hogg gets a screen from Cook. Now cross-floor pass, and Brock Haley couldn't control it. He stepped into the crease, and it's Brampton ball. So do the Excelsiors have a response here up the floor? J.P. Ward. Off for Josh Medeiros. Medeiros into the middle. His shot stopped by Hutchcraft. Rebound picked up by Ward. So Brampton gets a fresh shot clock as Medeiros goes off for a change. Now a pass in front for Ward. He stepped into the crease. It was stopped by Hutchcraft and went out of play. Ryan Wagner starting from in behind his own net as Brooklyn back up the floor here. Luke Keenan with the ball. He scored that first of the game for Brooklyn. Now a pass in front gets knocked away. Good stick there by Peyton Tasse. And Brampton moving it up the floor as Tasse throws it off to the far boards. He'll sit along the goal line, stepping in, stopped by Hutchcraft. And we remind you that this period is brought to you by the Bar Down Gastropub in Whitby, right here at the arena. Thank them for our crew meal as Brampton trying to fish that one out in the offensive zone. Now here's a chance in front for Brampton as Hutchcraft makes a save on Connor McClelland. Brampton picks up the rebound again, so they'll set up in the offensive zone with a fresh shot clock. Fresh legs onto the floor, James Whiteford. 5 goals, 4 assists so far this season for Brampton. Now pass up top, Patterson gets turned away by Hutchcraft, and the rebound picked up by Dylan Robinson. NLL champion in 2024 with the Buffalo Bandits. Brock Haley. Brady Kiernan off to the boards, and Tanner Cook setting up. Cook driving in past the defender. His shot goes wide, and the rebound knocked down and not kept over center as Keenan had a foot over center, so that's over and back against Brooklyn, and it's Brampton ball the other way, but they turn it over immediately. Here's a chance up the floor for Jacob Hickey. Drops it back for Curtis Knight. Brooklyn waiting for help up the floor. Brock Haley. Talked about that monster game on Sunday. It was 4-2 Brooklyn after the first. It was 11-3 after the second for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club against the Kodiaks at the Coburg Community Center on Sunday night. Now a drop pass is going to go for over and back against Brooklyn unless Brampton can get to it first, and they're going to whistle it down. And Brampton will have to restart from the far corner in the Brooklyn zone. Patterson. Good defense there is Raposo. We talked about him pregame. Played at Johns Hopkins. For non-offensive players, he led the team in scoring. Was on the dean's list at Johns Hopkins. Pretty smart guy to be able to do that. Connor Kiernan off for Tanner Cook. He steps in and shoots, missed off the far post, and that one Brady Kiernan can't save at center. Over and back against Brooklyn again. Just over 7 minutes gone in this first period. 1-0 Brooklyn leading Brampton on the Luke Keenan goal. Brampton setting up offensively. James Whiteford. That's J.P. Ward. Being watched closely by Shakowski. Works it back up top. Jeremy Searle fires the shot that gets stopped by Hutchcraft, and the rebound Picked up by Brampton. Whiteford into the corner for Ward. Doesn't know where it is. And it rolls into the corner, and that's going to be a time count violation against Brampton, and Brooklyn ball going the other way. Adam Peroni in transition for Brooklyn. Talked about the Merchants, a big member of that team for the last few years, as Cook fires a shot right off the mask of Will Johnston, still trying to shake that one off as the referee checks on him. Seems to be okay, and Brampton gets it after they picked up the rebound in their own zone. Patterson couldn't control the pass, and a battle in front is Hickey trying to track it down. And it's going to be Brooklyn ball as Brampton touched it while they were in the crease. Brock Haley off for Kyle Waters. Just a 1 goal on the season. It opened Brooklyn's season scoring in game number 1 against Owen Sound. It's been held goalless since. Keenan steps in, shouldered away by Johnston, and the rebound picked up by Brooklyn again. Brock Haley spins off the defender and plays it back for Kyle Waters. Haley. Tanner Cook up top. Now it's Kiernan on the board. Steps in off the screen, spinning away from a defender. Brady Kiernan, and that's going to go against Brooklyn. An extra shot after the whistle from Connor McClelland on Brady Kiernan. He didn't like that one, but Brampton will start with it from their own zone. Curtis Goddard off for Whiteford. Now it's J.P. Ward getting the screen. Tried to play it down low, but couldn't find Zach Sunderland just over his stick, and Brooklyn will pick up back in their own zone. Alexei Samard. Brady Kiernan off for Curtis Knight. And that's going to be a foul against Brooklyn in the offensive end for a second straight possession, as Brampton will go back the other way. So some good chances offensively for Brooklyn in the early going. Johnston making some big saves as Josh Madero streaking in with speed. His shot missed the net, and the rebound picked up by Brooklyn. They have numbers the other way. Liam Osborne driving in. He has Peroni trailing. Osborne forced into the corner, and he'll wait for Brooklyn to set up as he fires this one back for Shaykowski. Good chance in transition there, but Osborne couldn't get the pass off to Adam Peroni, and Brooklyn setting up again, 10 seconds to shoot. Tanner Cook off for Kyle Waters, steps in, stopped by Johnston, and he'll trap that one down. Now Johnston quickly up the floor, and McClellan knocks it down as he waits for help off the Brampton bench. Now off for Whiteford, who steps in, stopped by Hutchcraft, loose ball in front. And J.P. Ward couldn't knock that one down. Now it's Whiteford battling for it on the boards. That one pulled away by Brooklyn, and away goes Hickey in transition. Hickey works that one off. Kyle Waters steps in and shoots. He just missed. Don't want to leave that guy too much time in front. Hickey forces a turnover and keeps it in the offensive zone for Brooklyn. 15 to shoot. Haley off to Graydon Hogg. Hogg getting a screen from Cook, looking for the pass, but it gets knocked away back to center. And Hogg plays it into the corner with 3 to shoot as Johnston makes the save on Brock Haley from a sharp angle.
Yeah, great job turning almost nothing into something there. Saving the ball from going over the center of the floor, getting it down low, and just whipping that shot on net.
1-0 lead for Brooklyn in this fast-moving first period. Just the 1 goal. Gone penaltyless in the first 11 minutes and 20 seconds of this first period. Brampton with a shot that misses off the far post and goes out of play. Didn't hit anything, and that one into the crowd, and the goalies will get their water break here as Brooklyn will get the restart from their own zone. Riley Hutchcraft asked the referee for a water stoppage here.
Yeah, he's been pretty busy making some big stops there, getting out in front of it. He doesn't look like he hasn't played this season so far. He looks fresh. He looks ready to go. As you see, Will Johnston as well doing a great job there. Only allowed the 1 goal so far in this early game here as we are about at 8:34 left in the first period. He'll head back and man the net for Brampton. But you mentioned clean game, no penalties so far. And maybe that's what Brampton likes, as Brooklyn averages about 4 goals on the power play per game in this season. So you don't really want to let Brooklyn go with the man advantage. No, they don't have Austin Shanks in the lineup, but that likely doesn't matter, as Brock Haley had no problem getting 3 goals and 4 assists in the game without Shanks in the lineup.
4 players on Brooklyn as that one gets through. Curtis Knight, his second of the season. And it's 2-0 for Brooklyn with 8:25 to go in the first period.
Well, and I guess you don't want to leave them 5-on-5 as well, because just as we say that, they score 5-on-5 and make it a 2-0 Brooklyn lead on that Curtis Knight shot as he kind of grabbed the ball and ran across the floor. He gets it here and just quickly throws that on net before the defender can get in front and block it. It was Reed Kurtz tracking him down, just not there in time to get the stick in front of the shot. And that beat Johnston clean, 2-0 Brooklyn.
I was about to say there are 4 players on Brooklyn this season in double-digit points. Tanner Cook and the 2 Kiernans. And without Austin Shanks in the lineup, who has the most of those 4 players, Brooklyn's still able to put up 14 on Coburg and only allow 4. And I think that's the more impressive number, is allowing 2 in the first period and then just 2 the rest of the way against the Coburg Kodiaks, as that's over and back against Brampton. So Brooklyn will get the restart in the offensive zone.
Yeah, they averaged just over 8 goals against this season, but that's including the 4 goals against in the last game against Coburg.
Kyle Waters steps in and turned away from Johnson. Brooklyn picks up the offensive rebound. Brady Kiernan up top with Graydon Hogg. Kiernan. Hogg. Plays it to Tanner Cook as Brady Kiernan threw the defender down to the floor. That was Jordan Medeiros. So Brampton quickly back the other way. They'll get a quick shot that gets stopped by Hutchcraft. A good look there for Matthew Bennett, still trying to find his first point of the season. Nick Shaykowski back up the floor for Brooklyn. Connor Kiernan out there with Brock Haley. Haley trying to spin away from a defender, but Peyton Tasse got his stick on that one, and Brampton back the other way. Curtis Goddard setting up offensively, off for J.P. Ward, out of his reach, and away goes Brooklyn in transition. Good chance here for Jack Travassos. With speed, steps in, shoots it wide, and that's over and back against Brooklyn. And it'll be Brampton ball. Is waiting patiently for it was Colton Watkinson, knowing that he'd get a stoppage. Whiteford for Brampton. Off the reset. Now a chance in front, knocked out of the stick of Jeremy Searle, and away goes Brooklyn back the other way. Dylan Robinson, 2 goals on the season for Dylan. He throws a hit there, but Adam Wiedemann able to stay with that one. He'll bring it up the floor. Wiedemann, long range, his shot stopped by Hutchcraft and stuck in between his mask and his shoulder.
Wiedemann had 2 goals in that win against Owen Sound. Guy that's able to put it in the back of the net for Brampton, not able to there. Riley Hutchcraft stopping everything he's faced so far tonight.
Curtis Knight back for Tanner Cook. Graydon Hogg in front. Brady Kiernan couldn't get the shot away, so Brampton will start back up the other way. Kyle Waters knocked that one down, but picked right back up by Jordan Medeiros. Now it's Josh Medeiros. His shot going wide on the near post. Kept in up top by Patterson. Holden Patterson stepping in front. Hutchcraft to save. Raposo picks up the ball, but a foul against Jack Travassos will give Brampton a fresh shot clock in the offensive zone with 5:43 to go in period number 1. And they immediately turn it over to Brooklyn. Now a transition play, 3-on-1. Shaykowski driving in. Stopped by Johnston, and the rebound picked up by Brampton. So had an opportunity at the offensive end of the floor. Immediately turned it over to Shaykowski, and that's a few times we've seen the long sticks. I know we're playing indoor lacrosse, box lacrosse, but the long sticks getting in the way of those taller players for Brooklyn. Is Hutchcraft making another save in front. Zach Sunderland with the shot for Brampton. Not for a lack of trying offensively in this first period for the Excelsiors. Brock Haley steps in, kicked out by Johnston, and the rebound picked up by Connor McClelland. Mark Van Scheppen waiting for help off the bench. Here's James Whiteford. Holden Patterson off the bench. J.P. Ward. Back for Whiteford. Whiteford stepping into the middle, being trapped down by Brooklyn defense. Andrew Borgatti now quickly off for Penn Istrat, but turned away by Hutchcraft.
And that's the 14th shot that Riley Hutchcraft has faced here in the first period. Brampton leading the way in shots, so not holding back offensively. Riley just doing a great job there back there.
A lot of long range outside of the middle shots here for Brampton, and a good job by this Brooklyn D not to give them much in the middle in front of the net, where we've seen Brooklyn score a few as Kyle Waters in front couldn't find that ball, and away goes Brampton the other way. Adam Wiedemann starting the transition. Josh Medeiros steps in, turned away by Hutchcraft. Rebound in front, picked up by Brampton. So a fresh shot clock here for the Excelsiors as Matthew Bennett sets up with Medeiros. J.P. Ward driving in towards the middle of the net to set up. Medeiros up top. Ward. Long range. It missed on the far post, and that will be over and back against Brampton, and Brooklyn ball at the offensive end of the floor.
That's one of those shots there. If you're Brampton, you maybe want to work it around a bit more and actually get that one on net. You had a fresh shot clock there. Some tired defenders on the floor. You're down 2.
Chance right off the restart for Brooklyn as Connor Kiernan had that deflected right out of his stick and into the protective meshing, so Brooklyn gets the restart here. Tanner Cook off for Graydon Hogg. Cook getting the screen. Hogg slips it in front. Behind the back shot from Connor Kiernan, missed just wide. Brock Haley picks up the rebound for Brooklyn, 15 to shoot. Tanner Cook off for Haley. Steps in around the defender, and he scores. Brock Haley stays hot. 3-0 lead for Brooklyn with 3:16 to go in the first period.
And we'll have another look at that one, but it looked like Will Johnston didn't just get enough of it as it squeaked through. We'll see here. Brock Haley gets that pass from Tanner Cook, cuts to the net, makes one move around the defender, and then right there, bar down he goes. Right past the goaltender. And the official right there sees that one drop in behind the goal line and give Brooklyn their 3rd goal of the game.
Brampton trying to get something started off the face-off as they get possession. Josh Medeiros.
Assist number 81, Connor Kiernan.
Connor Kiernan getting an assist, and Tanner Cook as well on that Brock Haley goal. 3 goals, 4 assists on Sunday for Haley. Has one here to give Brooklyn a 3-0 lead. Is that one right out of the stick of Lucas Ferreira into the protective meshing and out of play.
It just slipped right out of there and then went out of play.
Curtis Knight spinning away from his defender, drops it back. Luke Keenan stepping in. Off to the boards, Kiernan tried to work that in front for Hogg, but it's turned over to Brampton, and away go the Excelsiors. Now a chance with numbers up the floor for Brampton. Drop it back, Holden Patterson. Into the near corner is Zach Sunderland. Up top for Whiteford. Patterson steps in, shoots, he scores! Holden Patterson gets Brampton on the board with just over 2 minutes to go in the opening frame and cuts Brooklyn lead to 3-1.
Well, it's quick transition up the floor for Brampton. They get it up the floor and don't take a shot right away. They settle things down here, and it goes to the far side there, and just a low shot along the floor from Patterson squeaks through Hutchcraft to give Brampton their 1st goal of the game.
See Hutchcraft upset with that one as Peroni throws his man down to the floor. Curtis Goddard on the wrong end of that one. Hickey back up the floor for Brooklyn here. Tanner Cook. Calgary Roughnecks in the NLL. For Kyle Waters. Now Brock Haley stepping in. Pass cross floor, and Johnston comes across and makes the save on Connor Kiernan. Big boost for the bench as Medeiros lost his helmet as Kiernan was trying to knock that ball free, and now Curtis Goddard up the floor for Brampton, and they'll get set up in the offensive end. Patterson slips away from Kyle Waters. J.P. Ward out in front. Pass knocked down by the defensive sticks of Brooklyn, and away they go with speed. Dylan Robinson in the transition game works it back. Raposo will play it back for Brady Kiernan. Seen that threat of Dylan Robinson in the offensive zone. He plays it to Keenan, and he scores. Right on cue, Dylan Robinson with the distribution to Luke Keenan. And with 1:04 to go in the first period, it's 4-1 Brooklyn.
And Brooklyn took advantage of a bit of a late change there from Brampton. Luke Keenan had a man on him, as we'll see in the replay there. He takes off. As soon as the pass goes down low to Robinson, Luke Keenan realizes his man. You can see him there just cut away. Keenan's going to cut to the center of the floor there on that odd man opportunity for Brooklyn, and he capitalizes. Second goal of the game, fourth for Brooklyn.
Talk about that offensive mind of Dylan Robinson. How many times will a defensive transition guy, after Raposo reset up top, want to go to the bench to get something going, but then Robinson, almost unaccounted for in the corner, created that low 2-on-1 and then able to distribute it off to Luke Keenan. Samard in transition for Brooklyn. Then a long shot from Tanner Cook, turned away by Johnston. Brampton back up the floor, and they score! Jeremy Searle rips it past Hutchcraft, and Brampton gets one right back to be back within 2.
Well, Searle's going to get his second goal of the season and cut that lead to 2 now. Here's we approach the final seconds of the first period. Just off the rush there, gets that lead pass. Has nobody with him and decides, instead of stopping up and setting up for an offensive zone chance there, just takes the shot and beats Hutchcraft for Brampton's second goal of the game.
Critical face-off. Whoever gets possession is going to call timeout, as Brampton picks it up, and they will call timeout before that ball knocked free. So with 18 seconds to go in period number 1, Brampton with the last possession of the opening frame and trying to pull this game back within 1 after that long shot from Jeremy Searle.
Dylan Robinson and Josh Medeiros exchanging some words there as they head to their bench for the timeout called by Brampton. And Medeiros is going to be part of that scrum there offensively, as we get a look there at Riley Hutchcraft. Taking a drink of water before he heads back to the net.
Really, you talk about the different points through the season last year where Hutchcraft named that Defensive Player of the Year, and you couldn't really argue against it. He was the most important defender for this Brooklyn team last season.
Yeah, he really was. He really kind of took the reins there. Him and Nick DeMood had a bit of split time, but then towards the back half of the season and then into the playoffs, they really rode with Riley Hutchcraft, the veteran guy with MSL and NLL experience, to kind of ride them into the playoffs. Unfortunately for Brooklyn, it was that first round exit. But they'll look to correct that this year, and they got Zach Higgins as well to man the pipes.
Riley Hutchcraft, a former Laurier Golden Hawk like you and I. Brampton will set up. No goaltender. 6-on-5 here. Last possession of the first period. Trying to bring it back within 1 as Hutchcraft makes the save, and the ball rolls off to the end boards, and that will end period number 1. So a chance at the end of the opening frame for Brampton to pull back within 1, but through 20 minutes, Brooklyn with a 4-2 lead, and really defensively carrying that momentum over like they did on Sunday against the Coburg Kodiaks.
Yeah, really continuing with that defense, and we've seen that this year with Brooklyn. Very strong defensively, keeping the shots from well outside. Yes, Brampton got quite the number of shots in that first period, but as you mentioned, Jack, coming from well out, and that's not just because of the strong goaltending, that's strong defense as well.
20 minutes down here at the Iroquois Park Sports Center in Whitby. The Brooklyn Lacrosse Club with a 4-2 lead over the Brampton Excelsiors. Your first intermission coming up after the break. You're watching Major Series Lacrosse on RogersTV.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Tuesdays on City TV. It's summer's #1 show. Go for gold.
You think there's no way to top it. This season tops it.
America's Got Talent. All new. Tuesdays, 8, 7 Central on City TV. Or stream it on City TV Plus.
My Uncle Cheney was one of over 150,000 Indigenous children that were taken to residential schools between the 1800s and 1996. My uncle ran away from school wanting to get home to his mom and dad, and sadly he didn't make it and died of exposure. When Gord Downey found out about my late Uncle Cheney's story, he wrote Secret Path, a series of poems that became an album, then a graphic novel, a documentary, and a concert. Gord met my family, and together we formed the Gord Downey and Cheney Winjack Fund. Together we are sharing Secret Path and other reconciliation resources with legacy schools, setting up legacy spaces across Canada, and hosting events like Secret Path Week to inspire all Canadians to engage in reconciliation. Before he left us, Gord asked us all to do something.
You're going to figure it out.
Will you join us? Together we can make Canada a better place.
Hi there, I'm Eric Marchand, host of Cinema Scene in Review. Join me each month as I recap all of the newest films in theaters and at home. See you in review.
Fans in Brooklyn enjoying the first 20 minutes of play here in Major Series Lacrosse action between the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club and the Brampton Excelsiors. Jack Moore, Andrew Osmond with you in the broadcast booth at your first intermission. 4-2 for Brooklyn through 20 minutes of play, Andrew, and really a good start to the period and good defensive structure pushed Brooklyn through that opening 20 minutes of play.
Yeah, quite a lot of shots there for Brampton, but as we were saying, coming from well out of the crease and not really getting those cross floor passes across for Brampton and able to kind of get anything of it. A couple bobbled passes as well that turned into turnovers going the way of Brooklyn, but Brampton was able to get 2 in that period and kind of keep it a bit of a tighter game. 4-2 after that first period is where we stand.
4-2 was the lead Brooklyn had through 20 minutes on Sunday against Coburg. They exploded for a 7-1 second period that gave them an 11-3 lead. We'll take a look at the first period highlights here in Whitby at the Iroquois Park Sports Center, and things got started with Luke Keenan scoring for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club.
Yeah, after a few possessions for Brooklyn, not able to get a shot on net, it's Keenan getting the nice pass from Brady Kiernan there to open the scoring. And then following it up is Curtis Knight, a guy that's known to get them on the power play. Doesn't need one there. And then a nice move there. This one goes bar down. Brock Haley is your second look at it here. Just right down there, top of the net. And then to get the first goal of the game for Brampton, Holden Patterson throws it along the floor and gets that one in. And then on the rush and in transition, Cyril, with 28 seconds left in the first period, is able to get their second goal and cut the lead in half to make it 4-2.
So the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club enjoying that good start, but Brampton's showing some push there in the mid to late stages of that opening 20 minutes of play. What do they need to do here over the next 40 minutes to contain Brooklyn? Well,
I'd like to see, I'm unsure kind of what their power play looks like. I think that's the first thing I'd like to see is a power play for Brampton. I mean, obviously, for either team, just to kind of get the game moving a little bit, then just transition back and forth. A power play would be interesting to see kind of how they respond and how Brooklyn responds as well for that on the penalty kill, to see if they can kill it off and see how they stand up against, the threat maybe there from Brampton, because they do have guys that can score. We've seen a couple goals now coming well out from the net, not needing to be in front, so maybe a power play what Brampton kind of needs to get their feet moving and back into this game. Not that they're out of it, but just to kind of keep it competitive here. No penalties in that first period. Things kind of quiet there, maybe a couple fouls either way, but nothing too aggressive or egregious there in that first period, so maybe we won't see any, but chances are in lacrosse we will get something at some point, and maybe that's the look Brampton's looking for.
6 goals through 20 minutes of play. Like you said, no penalties in that opening 20 minutes, so a relatively quick first period here at the Iroquois Park Sports Center. Which team does that benefit moving forward down the game, where you're putting out the energy, but it's not as long of an opening frame as they might have expected?
Yeah, well, it might maybe go the way of Brooklyn just for a few reasons. They played the most games in the season so far. They have a game again tomorrow against Peterborough, a team that they want to be rested for, so maybe the more, the less bruises you take in this game, and the healing from the bruises you maybe have in previous games. You've played more games than Brampton has this year, and they've scored more goals offensively, so maybe being a bit on that side of the ball too, being really rushed all the time this year, it's good to maybe be a bit more calm and comfortable. So maybe it favors Brooklyn a little bit more from that aspect, which is a benefit for today, but also a benefit maybe coming tomorrow against the Lakers.
Now, we talked about that stretch for Brooklyn where they had a game on a Saturday in Owen Sound. They came here, played against Six Nations on Wednesday, then Sunday in Cobourg, back here tonight against Brampton, and then tomorrow against Peterborough. So really that schedule starting to pick up here after we saw the opening game of this season on Victoria Day Monday, and then we didn't see anything for 16 days after that for Six Nations. Brooklyn didn't play for another 9 days after the opening game of the Major Series Lacrosse schedule. So really we're seeing that schedule start to pick up here for these teams.
Yeah, and especially after tomorrow's game, that's going to be the midway point for Brooklyn in their MSL season. Only a 12-game season this year, and then come playoffs, every team will be playing in those playoffs so that you will have those extra games. But yeah, Brooklyn will be midway through their season tomorrow, so that they get through this game quickly and then do their job tomorrow and come out clean. They're looking good. Whereas Six Nations, as you mentioned, they started the season, then waited 16 more days to play game number 2. So a bit of a lopsided schedule. Maybe Brooklyn's a bit more front-loaded and they have a bit more relaxed back half. And some other teams maybe are the other way around. So maybe that benefits Brooklyn come playoff time. They get a bit more days to rest before it comes down to the important games of the year.
You talked about that schedule for Brooklyn tomorrow, the halfway point of their schedule after the game against Peterborough. After the game tonight, officially done half of their home schedule here at the Iroquois Park Sports Center. So things moving quickly in 2024 in Major Series Lacrosse. The Brooklyn Lacrosse Club with a 4-2 lead through 20 minutes of play against the Brampton Excelsiors. Second period action coming up after the break. You're watching Major Series Lacrosse on Rogers TV.
I'm Rob MacArthur, host and producer of Helping Durham Region. Join me as we shine a spotlight on how Durham Region residents help each other. That's Helping Durham Region right here on Rogers TV.
Hello, I'm Judy Tate, host and producer of At the Heart of Business. Join me each week as we speak with women in business about their challenges and their successes. At the Heart of Business, right here on Rogers TV Durham.
It's been a long time coming. You don't win it to keep it, you win it to be a part of its history. Always knew. Always hard to see the difference between winning and losing. The quest for the hardest trophy to win in sports.
Everybody knows not to drink and drive, but some people still think it's okay to take drugs and drive. Police have the authority, the ability, and the tools to determine if drivers are impaired by legal or illegal drugs. And because drug-impaired drivers can pose just as great a risk as drunk drivers, they face the same penalties, like the loss of their driver's license, a criminal record, fines, and more. A message from the RCMP, the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, and Arrive Alive, Drive Sober.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Karim Grant. I'm the host of the Players Corner. Season 2 is coming right at you. Make sure you stay tuned. We have a lot of exciting guests right here on Rogers Durham TV. Make sure you're there.
Hi, my name's Scott Dennis, host of the Sports Report here on Rogers TV Durham. Do you love sports? So do I, and we're talking about it anywhere from the Oshawa Generals to college, university to amateur sport. Make sure you tune in here, only on Rogers TV Durham.
Brooklyn making their way back onto the floor for period number 2, Major Series Lacrosse on Rogers TV inside the Iroquois Park Sports Center here in Whitby. Jack Moore, Andrew Osmond along with you. Riley Hutchcraft, 14 saves in that first period, Andrew.
Yeah, both teams getting 16 shots on goal, so Riley making 14 saves, and Johnston on the other end of the floor is just getting to his net now, making sure it's all grip-friendly and not that slippery, making 12 saves and allowing 4 goals. 4-2 the score after the first period in favor of Brooklyn, as both players and teams will get to their respective benches, and we get ready for ball drop here.
Second period brought to you by the Bar Down Gastro Pub in Whitby. Inside the arena here is Brooklyn. Wins the face-off to begin period number 2. Adam Perrone scooped it up. Kyle Waters setting up for Brooklyn for the opening possession of the middle frame is Graydon Hogg and Kyle Waters. Connor Kiernan back up top. Here's Tanner Cook driving in. Cook shoots. That gets stopped by Johnston, and the rebound sent wide by Connor Kiernan. Josh Medeiros picks up the rebound, and Curtis Goddard back up the floor for Brampton. First offensive possession of the second period here for the Excelsiors. Brooklyn got the first 3 goals of period number 1. Brampton fires a shot wide, and that rebound picked up by Ryan Wagner, who starts away in transition. Wagner quickly worked it off, and Jack Travassos will go for a change. Helping out in transition as well, Brock Haley. Cross floor. Luke Keenan already with 2 goals in this one, and he gets turned away by Will Johnston. Curtis Knight had a goal on an assist from Keenan in period number 1. Now it's Tanner Cook, turned away by Johnston as Knight lost his footing at the offensive end of the floor, and Brooklyn will just throw this one away midway through the shot clock. So a slippery part of the floor there for Knight, who couldn't gather his footing to pick up the loose ball and maintain that offensive possession for Brooklyn. Different surface Brooklyn will be playing on tomorrow in Peterborough, with the turf surface. Is a long shot from Patterson, missed the net. Rebound out in front is Istrat trying to find the loose ball. JP Ward couldn't find it either. And away goes Brooklyn quickly. Long change second period here. Raposo out in front, tried to slip that one through, but Will Johnston makes the save.
Yeah, tried a bit of an acrobatic goal on that one, using the screen there to draw the defender away and then cut to the net and try to go behind the back of Johnston. Didn't quite work that time.
Brampton setting up in the offensive end. Whiteford spinning away from defenders, gets a screen, long shot, stopped by Hutchcraft, and he scoops up the rebound. Now has a man down the floor trying to bounce this one away to Wagner, couldn't find it. Out in front, Connor Kiernan tried a behind the back shot, didn't pull the trigger on it, and then lost the ball in the corner. So Goddard will play it up the floor. Second Brooklyn player to slip in this Brampton zone here in period number 2. In transition, shot stopped by Hutchcraft, and Travassos picks up the rebound. Jackson Raposo off for Colton Watkinson. Brady Kiernan getting help from Graydon Hogg. Here's Curtis Knight. Connor Kiernan trying to slip in. He gets checked down to the floor. Brooklyn wanting a either foul or penalty on the play as Kiernan slow to his feet. And Brampton back up the floor as Kiernan still not on the bench, and now Dylan Robinson able to get the change. Midway through the shot clock here for Brampton as the loose ball goes into the far corner. Away goes Jacob Hickey with speed. Luke Keenan, hot hand in this one. 2 goals and an assist in that opening 20 minutes of play. We're 3.5 gone in period 2. Still 4-2 for Brooklyn. Tanner Cook set up in behind the Brampton net. Keenan couldn't control the pass in front, and away goes Brampton. Jordan Medeiros has a 3-on-2. He'll find the trail man. Curtis Goddard, long shot. That goes wide, and it's over and back against Brampton.
Yeah, Brampton's got to do a bit more there on those rushes, on those chances. Maybe make a move, make Riley Hutchcraft move east-west a little bit in that net. Only really just been winding up and trying to fire a hard shot on net.
Tanner Cook driving in, and that gets stopped by Johnston. Shouldered away, and a penalty coming up here to Brampton. First penalty of the game for either team. As Riley Hutchcraft off to the bench. Fresh shot clock for Brooklyn as they'll set up 6-on-5 with the delayed penalty to Brampton. Curtis Knight. Up top, Graydon Hogg. Far side, Tanner Cook hit the post. And that one goes all the way down the floor and just misses the Brooklyn net on the near post. So Kyle Waters will pick it up and reset. He gets a shot clock reset here. That one hit the post and went all the way back into the Brooklyn zone. half an inch the other way, Andrew. And
yeah.
could have seen a delayed penalty goal as Cook tries another shot that gets deflected. Brooklyn with another offensive rebound. Fresh shot clock here. Tanner Cook, cross floor. Brock Haley up top. Cook flips it back for Kyle Waters. Being watched by Medeiros, and his pass down low gets intercepted by Adam Wiedemann. Curtis Goddard off to the penalty box for Brampton, and just over 5 minutes into this second period, we get the first power play of the game for either team, and it goes the way of Brooklyn.
Well, the first one here did not get called as Kiernan got hauled down, and this is what the Brooklyn bench and head coach Joel Johnson was complaining about. As you see Connor Kiernan get a stick, it looks to be up high, not called, and then here's the penalty that they will call. And maybe a bit of a make-up call, as there was a bit more there in the Kiernan incident and not so much on Goddard there, who's going to sit for 2 or less here.
Holding the stick, the call is Curtis Knight. Up top, Connor Kiernan in front for Kyle Waters and just out of his reach. Just feels like Kyle Waters is on the wrong side of those ones every time on the offensive end of the floor right now.
And he comes off shaking his head as well, knowing that he's got to get that ball into his control and then throw that on net with a chance in getting the body position in front like that.
Midway through the shot clock here for Brampton. Trying to kill off time on this Brooklyn power play. Now it's Whiteford driving in. His shot missed the net. And Liam Osborne called for the foul on the floor, so a shot clock reset here for Brampton at the offensive end with 1:16 to go in this Brooklyn power play.
James Whiteford a little slow to get up there, hobbles his way off for a change.
Driving hard to that net against Hutchcraft, and Liam Osborne was the one who landed on top of him. J.P. Ward, long shot kicked out by Hutchcraft, and the rebound picked up by Jackson Raposo. So Brooklyn setting up with 45 seconds to go in this power play. 6.5 minutes gone in period number 2. No goals here in the middle frame. Still 4-2 for Brooklyn as Tanner Cook up top for Curtis Knight. Back to Cook. He hit the post again. Rebound picked up by Brady Kiernan. Knight, Cook, cross floor Kyle Waters. Down low Connor Kiernan. Behind the back to Brady Kiernan. Up top Curtis Knight. Waters. Now it's Connor Kiernan. Curtis Knight back to Kiernan. Steps in, cross floor. Tanner Cook to the net. And he scores! Soaring through the air with 10 seconds to go in the power play to make it 5-2 for Brooklyn.
Tanner Cook with a great move there. Gets the pass from Connor Kiernan across the floor and gets his 7th goal of the season. His 4th goal on the power play this season. You see it here. Nice cross feed there from Connor Kiernan for his 3rd assist of the night. And just squeaking by goaltender Johnston for the power play goal. And Brooklyn is now 1 for 1 in their first attempt on the power play here, and they got a 5-2 lead in the second.
Talked about the big game that Brock Haley had on Sunday, but Tanner Cook with a goal and 4 assists on Sunday against the Coburg Kodiaks. He gets the power play goal, like you mentioned, his 4th power play goal of the season. Now up to 16 points on the campaign for Brooklyn. 3 back of Austin Shanks for the team lead. Brady Kiernan in front. That shot deflects and goes wide. Brock Haley on the rebound. Curtis Knight. Braden Hogg. Brady Kiernan. Over the top. Stopped by Johnston. And the rebound off the far boards. Braden Hogg picks up. Hogg, long shot. And that one goes into the far corner. And back the other way for Brampton. Matthew Bennett. Down low for Whiteford. Now Istrat. He fires. Hutchcraft made the save. Didn't know where it was. And Brampton stepped into the crease on that one. Dylan Robinson and Riley Hutchcraft had their signals crossed there, but able to keep it out of the Brooklyn net. As Brampton stepped into the crease as well to negate that chance. Kyle Waters out in front for Curtis Knight. Ball goes to the far boards. Tanner Cook. In front for Connor Kiernan, bouncing ball. Kyle Waters bumped off. Brady Kiernan now fires. Stopped by Johnston, and the rebound rolls in front, but Waters unable to pick up. Riley DeLille Exchanging some words with Kiernan on their ways to the bench as they both go down. J.P. Ward. Patterson and Whiteford now working it in the corner. Whiteford. Cross floor. Zach Sunderland. In front, knocked out of his stick by Hickey. And Jacob Hickey back up the floor for Brooklyn. Brock Haley. Luke Keenan. Braden Hogg. Connor Kiernan. Couldn't find that loose ball. Scooped up by Goddard, and away goes Brampton up the floor with Josh Medeiros. Curtis Goddard runs it into the corner, waits for help off the bench. Lucas Ferreira running to the front of the net. J.P. Ward off the bench. Patterson now onto the floor. Goddard gets a change as Sunderland out there for Brampton with 13 to shoot. Holden Patterson fires. That goes wide, and that is going to be over and back against Brampton, but a chance here in transition for Brooklyn, kicked out by Will Johnston. Brooklyn will pick it up before it hits center. Jack Travassos keeping this offensive possession alive. Colton Watkinson with a breakaway chance on Will Johnston. And Johnston with a big left leg save. Curtis Knight couldn't control that pass. And that loose ball will be picked up by Brampton to go away in transition. Slipping away from defenders is Reed Kurtz. Out in front, and the quick shot chance from Jeremy Searle, who has one of the two Brampton goals, goes into the far corner. And Brooklyn getting a shot clock reset just over midway through this second period. 5-2 Brooklyn. Only goal of this middle frame, Tanner Cook on the power play. Loose ball back into the Brooklyn zone off the stick of the Brampton defender, Adam Wiedemann. So Curtis Knight will fire it into the far corner at the end of the shot clock. And Wiedemann picks up. And Brooklyn just killing time off there, going back to retrieve that one. Whiteford sets up for the Excelsiors. Plays it off for Istrat. Istrat to Holden Patterson. Spinning away from his defender is Jackson Raposo was knocked down to the floor, so it's Brooklyn ball. And going back the other way is Brooklyn trying to set up offensively. Luke Keenan waiting for help. Brady Kiernan launch shot. Johnston gets in front of that one. Hard shot from Brady Kiernan is Curtis Goddard in transition down the floor. Waiting for help. Drops it off for Medeiros. Josh Medeiros. 15 to shoot for Brampton, and the errant pass will bounce off the boards, and Dylan Robinson will spin away from the attacking Brampton player and get it up the floor. Travassos scores! Jack Travassos gets his first of the season and makes it 6-2 Brooklyn on a transition pass from Dylan Robinson.
Yeah, what a nifty play by Dylan Robinson for yet another assist on the night. He grabs that ball off the boards in his own zone and then just throws it 1.5 miles up the floor to Travassos in transition for his, as you mentioned, Jack, first goal of the season and the 6th goal of the game here for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club. Brampton doing a good job so far in that period, just kind of keeping things calm and quiet, but missing on their offensive zone attempts and missing the net and causing those over and backs. Or that last play there, Josh Medeiros ran it all the way into the corner, ran it back to almost center floor, went to pass it to a teammate in the corner and just missed him by about 3 feet. And that ball ricocheted all the way around back to Dylan Robinson, who was waiting for it, and within seconds it was up the floor to Travassos, who was able to score. So off a bit of a mindless play there offensively for Brampton, in less than about 10 seconds, it's in the back of their own net.
Talked about that playmaking ability in the transition game from Dylan Robinson. We've seen him use the speed aspect. As Tanner Cook setting up offensively with Kyle Waters. Steps in, slip pass in front for Connor Kiernan off his stick and into the corner. Loose ball forced there by Brooklyn, but Brampton able to find it again in their own zone. Fire this one up the floor for Curtis Goddard, but almost a suicide pass there as Brooklyn able to knock it free, and Kyle Waters back into the offensive zone. 7.5 to go in period number 2. 6-2, Brooklyn leading, and the only 2 goals of this middle frame. That shot stopped by Johnston, and he picks up the rebound. Jordan Medeiros out there with J.P. Ward. Ben Istrat for Brampton as well, trying to create something offensively. Holden Patterson has one of the 2 Brampton goals in this one. Off for James Whiteford. Whiteford flips it wide to the Brooklyn net late in the shot clock as Patterson goes crashing into the end boards. And Alexei Samard will go off to the penalty box, so we'll get a first look at that Brampton power play here with 6:58 to go in period number 2 as Samard off to the box.
Brampton's only scored 3 goals on the power play. They average 1 a game, and they're going to get their first chance here, as I mentioned. Might be the swing that Brampton's looking for, as you see just from behind there with kind of a defensive player holding Patterson up, reaching for that ball, gets hit from behind into the boards, and Samard's going to sit for 2 or less.
Talked about it going into the game last week for Brooklyn, where almost 50% of their goals this season have come on the special teams between power play and shorthanded goals. They get a stop from Hutchcraft and a chance up the floor here. Shorthanded. Just 25 seconds into the Brampton power play.
Brooklyn has scored 3 shorthanded goals this season.
And 1 on Sunday in Coburg. Brock Haley, a long shot, stopped by Johnston at the end of the shot clock. Brooklyn able to kill off the full 30 seconds there. And Brampton back up the floor with 1:06 to go in the power play. 6 minutes to go in period number 2, and Brampton trailing by 4. Istrat quickly off shot, stopped by Hutchcraft, and he picks up the rebound again. Adam Wiedemann couldn't beat Hutchcraft on that one.
Yeah, Brampton had Ferreira kind of down low with no defender on him. They took the shot maybe a bit early there for Brampton, and we're going to get a penalty here to Brampton's DeLille, getting a stick way up high there on Chakowski.
This power play is going to come to an end here for Brampton as a long shot from Cook. Stopped by Patterson, and we will have 4-on-4 for 23 seconds before Brooklyn goes to their second power play of the game.
Yeah, and Ryan DeLille's going to head off. First penalty of the season as he got a stick up high on Chakowski. Obviously did not mean to do it. We'll see it here. Just right here, gets his second hand on the stick and tries to go up. Right there, just gets him right underneath the cage. Obviously just looking to block a pass there and didn't mean to get him in the head.
That one will get called every time. 4-on-4 is Keenan. Out in front, Kyle Waters. Shovels this one off for Connor Kiernan. Collects it off the boards. Steps into the middle. Cross floor for Keenan. Back to Tanner Cook. Connor Kiernan in front for Kyle Waters, and he bounces it wide.
Josh Medeiros coming back there to get a stick on that attempt and didn't let Kyle Waters get all of it as he brings it up the floor.
Medeiros turns that one over and vocally upset with that pass decision as Brooklyn can't capitalize in transition as Liam Osborne had it hit off his stick and go into the second row. So Brampton ball as that one went out of play. 1:15 to go in the Brooklyn power play. 4.5 to go in period number 2. Curtis Goddard being watched by Jack Travassos. Picked up his first goal of the season in this period. Goddard forced to the end boards by Watkinson. And that ball pops free. Jack Travassos up the floor for Brooklyn. 45 seconds to go in the power play for Brooklyn, so unless they get an offensive rebound, probably their last possession of this power play, 10 to shoot. Curtis Knight. For Tanner Cook back tonight, and he scores. Second of the game for Curtis Knight. And with 3:48 to go in the second period, it's 7-2 Brooklyn.
Curtis Knight's second goal of the game, third on the season. And it's the second power play goal for Brooklyn as well. As you see, Brooklyn moving the ball around, a couple give and goes with Curtis Knight, and he ends up taking that shot, as we mentioned he's done before, from up top on the power play. Taking that spot since he's returned to this Brooklyn lineup. And he gets the 7th goal of the game.
Adam Wiedemann trying to get something back. Stopped by Hutchcraft. Medeiros in front. Rebound in the crease. Picked up by Hutchcraft. And back up the floor.
Time of that goal, 16-12. On the power play,
Raposo off for Graydon Hogg. So a 4-2 lead after 20 minutes of play for Brooklyn. Now 7-2 late in this second period. Luke Keenan off for Connor Kiernan, turned away by Will Johnston. Rebound picked up by Graydon Hogg, and Brooklyn stays with it at the offensive end of the floor. Tanner Cook inside for Hogg, and he sent it wide off the near post. Now it's Brock Haley stepping in, stopped by Johnston, and the rebound picked up by Brampton again. Hogg trying to knock that one free. Had to be careful not to get his arm caught up in the Brampton player. Brampton at the offensive end of the floor. Zach Sunderland. J.P. Ward. Off for Holden Patterson. 5 seconds to shoot here for James Whiteford. Flips it off for J.P. Ward. End of the shot clock, and one pass too many for Brampton. Brooklyn back the other way as Jack Travasos over center. Slowing things down to get the offensive players onto the floor here for Brooklyn. Brady Kiernan, Tanner Cook, Brock Haley firing a shot that goes wide off the rafters and out of play. So it's Brampton ball here on the restart for Curtis Goddard. Pass for Istrat. Went right by him and into the near corner. Bouncing ball picked up by Brooklyn, and they'll go away in transition. Good chance for Hickey, but he couldn't corral it as Riley DeLille knocked it free. And Brampton will reset from their own zone and bring it over center. 100 seconds to go here in period number 2. 7-2 Brooklyn, leading the Brampton Excelsiors. Adam Wiedemann gets the screen, steps in, shoots it, goes high, and off the back of the Brooklyn net.
Great look for Brampton there, moving their guys around and using those picks to open up a shooting lane. That time, again, just missing the net completely and giving the ball back to Brooklyn. But I like the look there for Brampton, moving constantly there offensively, not standing still, and got a decent opportunity out of it.
Kiernan off to Hogg, trying to drive in, forced to the boards. Connor Kiernan gets the screen from Kyle Waters, flips it back to Waters, steps in, shoots, shouldered away by Johnston. Couldn't have gotten him better look on that one as Johnston made the save, so no over and back against Brooklyn. They'll slow things down and reset back from their own zone. Brady Kiernan to Kyle Waters. Here's Brock Haley, trying to spin away from his defender McClelland. Haley driving in, penalty coming up to Brampton as Haley missed that far corner. 34 seconds to go in period number 2. And Brooklyn getting possession here, so they'll take a timeout and kill out this clock. Down to about 8 seconds before they try and take a shot on goal here, but they're going to their third power play of the game where they're 2 for 2 right now, Andrew.
Yeah, and for Brampton, you thought maybe you were going to get the last shot of the game here if you were able to get a stop, but that stick right up high there, getting Brock Haley in the head, causes that penalty. As heading off is Connor McClelland, pleading his case there on explaining what happened, but looking at the replay, there's no real arguing that the stick did get up high there in the cross-check. Yeah, Brooklyn gonna work the clock here to end the period unless they score and we have a face-off before then. But just as Brampton was maybe thinking we're gonna get a rebound or get the ball back and then call a timeout and set up for a chance to get our third goal here and cut it to a 4-goal game before the end of the period. Now they gotta kill off a penalty once again. They have not been able to kill off a penalty yet allowing 2 power play goals on the first 2 Brooklyn attempts. Riley Hutchcraft remains in net, though, here for Brooklyn, as there is 34 seconds left in the period. So there is those extra 4 seconds after a potential shot clock expiration. So they're going to play it safe here and leave Riley in net.
Just at that awkward point on the game clock and shot clock differential where, especially in that second period where it's that long change to get Hutchcraft back into the net. Curtis Knight up top, Kyle Waters off the corner boards. 15 to shoot here for Brooklyn. Waters, Knight. Back up top, Kyle Waters. Out in front, Kiernan scores. Third power play goal of the game for Brooklyn. This time it's Connor Kiernan, and it's 8-2 for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club with 10 seconds to go in period number 2.
Connor Kiernan gets his first goal of the night, and this one a power play marker in the 8th for Brooklyn. Doing a good job moving it around and while moving his feet. Kiernan gets that pass and throws it on net. Not standing still was Kiernan on that one. Gets that one past Johnston. We have just under 10 seconds to go here. Brampton with a chance to get one before the end of the second.
Josh Medeiros trying to create something offensively. Shot goes wide and the period comes to an end. So it was a 4-2 lead for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club through 20 minutes of play. A 4-0 second period gives them a 6-goal advantage through 40 minutes of play.
And as we see Brampton head off there, goaltender Will Johnston, yeah, he's allowed 8 goals. Not too bad, but it's offensively for Brampton. You can't not score a goal in a period in the MSL. You have to do damage offensively, and that's why it's an 8-2 game in favor of Brooklyn after 2 periods of play.
Not a busy period for Riley Hutchcraft as he goes off to the locker room. Just 6 shots from the Brampton Excelsiors. He stopped all 6. 8-2. The Brooklyn Lacrosse Club leading the Brampton Excelsiors through 40 minutes of play. We'll step aside and get to your second intermission after the break. You're watching Major Series Lacrosse on Rogers TV.
After a night out with your friends, not having a plan for a safe ride home can leave you in a bad spot. You could end up riding in a police car, an ambulance, or a hearse. These unplanned modes of transportation can be a costly choice and do not take you home. Your plan could include a designated driver, a taxi, or public transit. Drink responsibly, choose your ride, and have a plan for a safe ride home.
Visit arrivealive.org to find out more.
Tuesdays on City TV. It's summer's #1 show. Go for gold.
You think there's no way to top it? This season tops it.
America's Got Talent. All new. Tuesdays, 8, 7 Central on City TV. Or stream it on City TV Plus.
We fought our way through Italy and then headed for Amsterdam, sweeping for Germans along the way. Our worst fear was to catch a bullet in these last hours of the war.
I was 15 when the Nazis invaded the Netherlands. More than 100,000 Dutch Jews never came home. Our men were put into forced labor. By 1945, we were starving. The food drops gave us hope. And then the Canadians came.
Before Amsterdam, I couldn't have explained why we were there, all those years away from home, but the Dutch showed us why it mattered.
Papa wanted me to bring some soldiers home to thank them personally, and that's when I first saw Wilf, and I invited him over that afternoon.
Marguerite Blaise married Lieutenant Wilf Gildersleeve. They moved to Vancouver, where they raised 8 children. Today, the Dutch still remember the Canadians who liberated them.
Frisbee toss underway on the floor here at the second intermission between Brooklyn and Brampton. where the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club holding an 8-2 lead through 40 minutes of play. Jack Moore, Andrew Osmond along with you. And Andrew, really just a dominating second period by this Brooklyn Lacrosse Club.
Yeah, 4 goals to none in that second frame in favor of Brooklyn. No goals for Brampton. They had a power play, not able to get a goal on that one. They actually got a penalty on their own power play to give Brooklyn a chance, which they scored on. Brooklyn 3 for 3, not just in the game, but in that period on the power play. So doing the damage when they have the opportunity is Brooklyn, and they get 4 in the first, 4 in the second. Brampton 0 in that period, so it's 8-2 after 1.
You talked about those 3 power play goals in the middle frame, 3 of their 4 goals in the middle frame coming on the power play. As we take a look at the second period highlights and things getting started here for Brooklyn to give them a 5-2 lead early in the second.
Yeah, well, is this play there? A nice one there from Tanner Cook, getting the feed from Connor Kiernan for yet another assist. He'll end up scoring later. We'll see that one. And there, the first goal of the season for first for Jack Travasos. He's able to score on there, and then Curtis Knight doing some damage, getting a goal, and then right there, Connor Kiernan on the power play for yet another point. And after that period and on those power plays, Tanner Cook, he's got a 5-point night going, now officially has the lead in points in the MSL and as well for this Brooklyn Lacrosse Club without Austin Shanks in the lineup.
Big body who can play right in front of the net, but he doesn't need to because of Kyle Waters, so he's playing out on the edge, distributing a little bit, having 4 assists here, but really this Brooklyn offense hitting on all cylinders, but it's the defense that's really getting it done, not only tonight against this Brampton Excelsiors team, but they're carrying over that dominating defensive performance that we saw on Sunday in Coburg.
Yeah, they've really been doing a great job keeping Brampton and their other opponents this season to the outside, not allowing a lot of movement, but to, Brampton's kind of deficit there. They're not doing a lot offensively, to be honest. They're not moving the ball around quickly. They're standing still. The guys without the ball pretty much just hanging around on the floor where their position's supposed to. They're not doing a lot earlier in the shot clock to draw the defenders around. So Brooklyn's had kind of an easy job there defensively. It's not taking anything away from what they've done there defensively, but they've had a bit of an easy job as Brampton's kind of stayed put, moving the ball ever so slightly and ever so slowly, and only with about 14 or 10 seconds left in the shot clock is Brampton then moving, causing some picks and moving some guys around. But Brooklyn's doing a great job following the ball and following their players and switching off guys and taking the coverage and doing a great job keeping the shots from the outside. Hutchcraft only had to make 6 saves in that period for Brooklyn. Brampton just not able to really get the shots through and on target that often that period.
You talked about Riley Hutchcraft. First start of the season as we've seen Zach Higgins take the reins to begin the year, but no signs of rust here from Hutchcraft as he's made 20 saves, only allowed 2 goals through 40 minutes of play, and has put his team in a good position here tonight.
Yeah, ever since kind of the first couple of shots I've seen him face tonight, Riley Hutchcraft has looked dialed in. He's looked really good. Yeah, some of them are coming from well out, but they are still hard shots, and a couple of those early in the first period, the first ones he's kind of facing in this season, he's having to get his foot on it and having to move a little bit. So not typically easy saves for Riley Hutchcraft. He's done a great job, but in that second period had a bit of an easier job, only faced 6 shots on net and doing a good job covering up the rebounds as well. Brampton unable to really extend any offensive zone time with some refresh shot clocks for the most part. Haven't been able to do that. Hopefully they can do that for their sake in the third period and crawl back in this game, because they, this lacrosse, goals can come and go, come pretty quickly, fast and often. So they're not out of the game by any stretch. They just got to change a couple things, get those shots on target, move the ball quicker, and move their feet on the floor offensively quicker as well.
Well, the other part of Brooklyn's game, we've talked about the offense, we've talked about defense, we've talked about goaltending, but another big aspect for this team has been the transition game. Jack Travasos with a goal tonight. We've seen Dylan Robinson, who had 2 goals, no assists coming into the game. He has 2 assists in this one and dishing it well, playing in that transition game, and it really seems like this Brooklyn coaching staff has put a lot of faith into those transition players for this Brooklyn Lacrosse Club, moving the ball up the floor, distributing it, and allowing them to go and make offensive plays and not holding them back to just being defensive, getting the ball over center and quickly off for a change. So it's allowing Brooklyn to have a little bit more of offensive talent spread through not only their offensive players, but their defensive players as well. We're through 40 minutes of play here at the Iroquois Park Sports Center in Whitby. The Brooklyn Lacrosse Club looking to move to 4-1 on this season. They have an 8-2 lead over the Brampton Excelsiors through 40 minutes of play. We'll take a break, and your third period is next. You're watching Major Series Lacrosse on RogersTV.
Hi, my name is Michael Kearns, and I'm a volunteer at Rogers TV. As a volunteer, I start my day off by setting up the set for the show. This includes setting up the backdrop, cameras, lights, conducting mic checks, and making sure everything is ready to go when we film. Then it's time for lights, camera, and action. Being a volunteer means I get to experience things I've been dreaming of, such as shooting mobile hockey games for the Oshawa Generals, which is an amazing experience.
Here's Villani, long shot, scores! And Salinitri now will shoot it in. He's got a partial 2-on-1 with Bowlers. Salinitri to Bowlers, back to Salinitri! What a play, Kyle Bowlers!
And the best part, when we come back the next day, we get to do it all over again. My name is Michael Kearns, and I volunteer for Rogers TV.
Clubs, leagues, and courts in every province and territory across Canada, squash is the sport for wall-to-wall fun, fitness, and friendship. From coast to coast to coast. Learn to play and you'll want to do it every day. Squash. Play inside the box.
Tuesdays on City TV. It's summer's #1 show. Go for gold.
You think there's no way to top it? This season tops it.
America's Got Talent. All new. Tuesdays, 8, 7 Central on City TV. Or stream it on City TV Plus.
Riley Hutchcraft getting his first start of the season, 20 saves on 22 Brampton shots. His team has an 8-2 lead through 40 minutes of play at the Iroquois Park Sports Center, Major Series Lacrosse on Rogers TV. Jack Moore, Andrew Osmond with you. And really, Riley Hutchcraft having a pretty good first period where he made 14 saves on 16 shots, but a quiet second period. Just needed to make 6 saves, but he was up to the task on all 6.
Yeah, he did a great job there, stopping what he needed to keep it just 2 goals against, and here we are now, back-to-back games where Brooklyn's done a great job defensively, limiting the goals, and not just limiting them in terms of less than what you have in terms of on the scoreboard, but just in an overall game, only allowing 2 goals through 2 full periods, and then 4 in the game before is quite an accomplishment for Brooklyn, and something that the coaching staff's definitely going to be proud of moving forward as Brooklyn gets the face-off win once again.
Brooklyn getting the ball off the face-off. This third period is brought to you by the Bar Down Gastro Pub in Whitby, as Kyle Waters sets up offensively. Talked about him quiet offensively, but this Brooklyn team not skipping a beat, even missing going into their game. Their leading point getter is Graydon Hogg. Gets turned away by Will Johnston to start period number 3. Josh Medeiros back up the floor for Brampton. Brampton setting up offensively. Lucas Ferreira being watched by Jackson Raposo. And that shot goes wide. Alexi Samard back up the floor. The only penalty for Brooklyn in this one. That hit on Holden Patterson in period number 2, where he went crashing into the end boards. Curtis Knight with 2 goals and an assist. The same stat line as Luke Keenan, who gives it back to Knight, and he fires it wide into the crowd and out of play. It's Brampton ball.
That's Brown Buick GMC, CRCS, Broad Street Brewery.
Tanner Cook arguing his case that should have been Brooklyn ball on that one, but it will be Andrew Borgatti setting up top. Holden Patterson for Brampton. Stepping in away from Curtis Knight. Patterson, long shot, stopped by Hutchcraft. Borgatti in front, stepped into the crease, and it's Brooklyn ball.
Another Brampton shot coming from well out with plenty of time left on the shot clock to do something with it, but they just elect to shoot from far out.
Adam Perrone worked it off to Kyle Waters. He'll go for a change. Waters alone in front. And Will Johnston makes the save. He was met by Josh Medeiros right before he took that shot, but Brampton able to get the stop there. There's a chance in front for Whiteford turned over, and here's Dylan Robinson, 2 assists in this one. He'll go away in transition with Tanner Cook. Robinson gets the screen, opens up, and flips this one on back to Curtis Knight. Robinson will stay on offensively. We talked about that in period number 1 where he had the sweet dish to Luke Keenan. Tanner Cook steps in, missed on the near post this time. Looking to add to his 5-point night already with a goal and 4 assists. Curtis Goddard picks up the loose ball for Brampton. And Brampton back up the floor. Ball off the near boards and a penalty coming up here to Ryan Wagner as he drilled Zach Sunderland into the boards.
Yeah, I think Ryan Wagner was thinking that he was going to have the ball, and that's why he's maybe pleading his case to be like, well, I got to play it as if he's going to grab the ball, but he just mishandled it. You see the ball come off the boards here, and it looks like he's going to handle it. Sunderland is, but gets hit by Ryan Wagner after not controlling the ball, and that's what led to that penalty. So not much really Ryan Wagner could do. He's playing it as if the Brampton player is going to get possession of the ball, which he didn't.
So second power play of the game for Brampton as that shot gets deflected and Hutchcraft picks up the loose ball. Robinson flipped this one ahead for Connor Kiernan. First power play of the game went nowhere for Brampton with about 36 seconds to go in that first man advantage. They took a penalty of their own, which then led to a Brooklyn goal once the penalty expired against Brooklyn. So 0 for 1 on the man advantage so far. Still a minute 15 to go here after Brooklyn turns it over in the offensive end. Sunderland took that hit to draw the penalty. There with Istrat and Medeiros. Josh Medeiros turned away by Hutchcraft. Reaching across to get his hand on that one. Now it's Istrat missing the top far corner by half an inch as Medeiros picks up the rebound. Medeiros gets it back up top. His shot stopped by Hutchcraft, and the rebound picked up by Brooklyn. Now here goes Brooklyn in transition. Colton Watkinson tried to flip it in front for Brady Kiernan, but never got him the ball. That only killed about 7 seconds of clock for Brooklyn trying to get a transition chance short-handed. .15 to shoot here for Brampton. Wiedemann worked it into the corner for Sunderland. J.P. Ward back for Wiedemann. Wiedemann shoots, stopped by Hutchcraft. Didn't really knew where it was, but he was able to make the save with the big goalie stick. Work it up the floor, and so all but do it for this Brampton power play. So they didn't get a full power play in period 2 when they got their first man advantage of the game. They do in their second chance in front. Is that chance headed away by Riley Hutchcraft? Connor McClelland out in front. 0 for 2 on the man advantage here for Brampton. It's Graydon Hogg up the floor for Brooklyn. 8-2 Brooklyn. 4 goals in the first, 4 goals in the second. Graydon Hogg behind the back, just missed the near post. Now it's Keenan firing it over the net. Tanner Cook alone in front, and he scores. Pick the top corner. Tanner Cook gets his second of the game. It's a 6-point night for the big man, and it's 9-2 Brooklyn.
And when you see Will Johnston there kind of resetting himself there mentally to think, where should I have been positioned on that play? A couple shots ring in. That one, last one, high off the glass. And with just a few seconds left in the shot clock, Tanner Cook knows he can't really do much with it. He grabs the ball here and just cuts around the defender, who just kind of lays the stick on him. Doesn't really challenge Tanner Cook at all on that one. And Cook's able to get the ball in the net for his second of the game, 6-point on the night.
Ryan Wagner picking it up in the offensive end. Hickey will go off for a change, so will Liam Osborne, and now Adam Perrone. Brady Kiernan up top for Hogg. Flipped it down low for Connor Kiernan, and now Brampton goes away in transition. And that one off the stick of Josh Medeiros and out of play into the penalty box on the far side. We'll see Brooklyn start up again at the offensive end of the floor. Brady Kiernan off for Graydon Hogg, driving in towards the net. He shoots and he scores. It got through. And Brooklyn with back-to-back goals have a 10-2 lead.
Well, Graydon Hogg with a great chance there. Squeaks on through Johnston, who's, you can see him resetting it once again, taking a break here. Cuts around the defender, goes wide, has some empty floor there, and a bit of a reverse hand shot there. He's able to bank that one in, and Johnston really doesn't know how that got in. He looks to the official and puts his hand up to say, how did that squeak through? Hogg's able to get the goal, and the 10th goal of the game for Brooklyn is his 3rd of the season.
Brooklyn with it again. Off the ensuing face-off is Curtis Knight. Flips it into the corner. Waters in front for Haley, and that gets shouldered away. Quieter night for Brock Haley than he had on Sunday in Coburg, but it's like we talk about with Kyle Waters, Austin Shanks not being in the lineup. Brooklyn able to find ways to get offense, and Haley just forced a turnover there to give Brooklyn back the ball.
Well, that's the second time now where the ball has bounced into the penalty box as Brampton's trying to move over center floor. So it's helpful when you can get help from the other side of the floor to give you the ball back without having to fight for it very much.
Graydon Hogg, long shot, stopped by Johnston. And it's in his equipment, so he'll have to kick that one free out of his right pad.
When he's made 2 good stops on after allowing that squeaker by and that he didn't quite understand how it got past him. One with the left hand and that one there with the right foot. So he's kind of battling back now, battling within himself to stay strong in that Brampton net.
Brampton on a back-to-back this week as well. At home tomorrow against the Oakville Rock, as they don't get that chance offensively. Dylan Robinson out in front. Raposo fired a shot that got deflected away. And Brooklyn able to keep it in the offensive end and not force the over and back. But a good chance there for Jackson Raposo to get his first of the season. Started at Johns Hopkins in 2020. Curtis Knight off for Tanner Cook. Back up top for Knight. Knight gets a screen on Medeiros, but that shot gets blocked in front. Josh Medeiros will pick up the rebound, not let it bounce into the penalty box. And Medeiros drives in. Forced into the corner and bounces this one back for Curtis Goddard. High pass gets corralled by Istrat. And Penn Istrat plays it back up top for J.P. Ward. Ward gets it back, looking for a pass. Now a long shot gets blocked by Hickey. And back down the floor as Liam Osborne will chase it down, and it's going to be Brooklyn ball.
They'll have time here to get their offensive guys on the floor as well with a fresh shot clock there offensively.
10-2 here for Brooklyn. They had a 4-2 lead after the first, 8-2 lead after the second. As Tanner Cook flips it in front for Hogg, and he gets bumped in front of the net. And some more pushing and shoving between Connor McClelland and Graydon Hogg. And McClelland will be the only one who goes to the penalty box. So Brooklyn going to their 4th power play of the game. They're 3 for 3 so far.
I didn't see a sign from the official, but yep, being escorted is McClelland to the bench, or to the box rather. And he's getting that call for roughing as Hogg had one initial push, but took maybe 5 or 6 unanswered pushes back to draw that penalty. Is where you have a bit of a delay here as the goaltenders are having a drink of water. And Josh Medeiros is animated. As you can see him there talking to the official as well. Curtis Knight there listening in for Brooklyn.
I think their conversation is, if you're going to take one, take both.
Yeah, and I think the explanation is to say, well, they both got their initial shots in, and maybe McClelland didn't let up. And that's the difference in the call.
4th power play of the game for Brooklyn. 3 for 3 so far. Brady Kiernan cross floor. That one gets turned away by Johnston as his brother Connor got turned away on the doorstep. Tanner Cook, hot hand in this one. Connor Kiernan behind the back pass. Tanner Cook scores! Impossible angle. And the hat-trick goal for Tanner Cook. This one comes just 21 seconds into the power play. And it's 11-2 for Brooklyn.
Well, the Kiernan brothers had Johnston confused there in net with a pass. Didn't know where it was. He was lucky enough to come across and get the initial stop. But then this behind-the-back pass down to Tanner Cook, and he just squeaks it through the only space possible there, top corner, above the shoulder of Johnston. Not much other room other than where the ball went to squeak in for the 11th goal, and yet another power play goal for Brooklyn.
Behind the back chance for Adam Wiedemann, but that gets turned away by Riley Hutchcraft. I don't think he could do that again if he tried picking that corner for Tanner Cook, but when you're hot, you're hot. 3 goals, 4 assists in this one for Tanner Cook.
And he's coming off a 5-point night as well in their last game against Coburg. So
Curtis Knight behind the back now, just misses. 5 to shoot for Brooklyn. Now quick angle, and they score. Curtis Knight banks that one in, and it's his hat-trick goal to make it 12-2 Brooklyn.
We'll have to have another look at that one, because with the shot clock down, Curtis Knight knew, I'm the guy that has to throw this ball on net, or else we have that shot clock violation. I think he might have just rolled that down the back of Johnston. As you see, Connor Kiernan throws it down low quickly in a one-touch pass. Yeah, I think it actually did bang off the back here. We'll have a good angle of it here. Down low, yeah, off the back, off the numbers of Johnston, and in the net for the 12th Brooklyn goal on the night, and they win the draw again and maintain possession. Jack, you and I have not looked left in quite a while here in the Iroquois Park Sports Center.
Yeah, it was a 4-goal first period, 4-goal second, and with 9.5 to go in the third, they have 4 here in the final frame, and they have opened up a 10-goal lead. As Curtis Knight picks it up, you thought that after their performance in Coburg on Sunday, it's, well, how do you get better offensively and defensively than a 14-4 result? With just over 9 minutes to go, a 12-2 score right now. Looks like they're taking care of business here tonight against Brampton before both these teams have to pick up and play tomorrow. J.P. Ward scores. Ward gets his first of the night and his 4th of the season to stop the bleeding here for Brampton after they allowed 8 unanswered.
Yeah, that's a goal they not only need in the game, but just to, as you said, patch it up and stop the bleeding from Brooklyn with 8 unanswered goals in this game. They get their first goal since the 28-second left mark in the first period to get their 3rd of the game for Brampton. And we're just having a bit of a stoppage here as Johnston went to the bench for a quick second there for Brampton. He's now back in the crease, and we're underway.
So Brampton back within 9 here. And J.P. Ward able to get on the board with his 4th of the year. Istrat works it cross floor. Shot turned away by Hutchcraft. Dylan Robinson picks up the rebound, and he'll bring it up the floor for Brooklyn. Talked about the ball going into the penalty box a few times here tonight. Won't be an issue tomorrow for Brooklyn when they're at the Peterborough Memorial Center taking on the Lakers, their only trip there this season. Tanner Cook in front, tried to pick that top far corner, and that goes out of play. Johnston got a piece, so it will be Brooklyn ball on the restart. Again, the bench is in different spots in Peterborough than they are here in Whitby. In Peterborough, the Brooklyn bench will be set up in a similar spot as it is here, but Peterborough's bench is on the other side of the floor and more central. So you see it in the OHL. The Peterborough Petes will be on the side that's right beside the penalty box and a little bit offset, and the visiting team across the ice. But for Lacrosse, Peterborough uses that as we don't have to really change how we change period to period. It's the same either way for us. As Brady Kiernan back up the floor for Brooklyn. Mentioned the new jerseys here for Brooklyn tonight. The black uniforms with the white numbers. Brooklyn written from right shoulder to left hip as a chance in front. Turned away by Johnston. Connor Kiernan on the doorstep, and Johnston will fire this one up for Connor McClelland up the floor. McClelland waiting for some help. J.P. Ward, long range, off the post, bouncing in front, picked up by Dylan Robinson. Now a stretch pass up the floor for Adam Peroni, couldn't control it, but able to pick it up again, and he steps in, turned away by Johnston. So again, Dylan Robinson facilitating in transition. That time stretching Adam Peroni down the floor for a chance, but unable to capitalize with under 7 minutes to play here in the third. Now a chance in front, ball goes off the side of the Brooklyn net. Just 5 to shoot, so Brooklyn was wanting just to kill off the clock, but they will start back from their own zone, and Colton Watkinson will just play this one off to Brady Kiernan. Kiernan drops this one back. Brock Haley. Curtis Knight. Pass in front for Hogg. Lots of time and he scores. Slipped away from his defender and put it through the 5-hole of Will Johnston. And Brooklyn regains that 10-goal lead with 6:18 to go in the third period.
When a great play there, kind of not quite in transition, but moving up the floor as guys were still kind of changing. Again, reversing his hands around to get that goal. Graydon Hogg beating the defender, Peyton Tasse, to the net and getting his second goal of the game and second goal in this period as well.
Graydon Hogg, who had just 2 on the season coming into tonight. They were both on the road in Owen Sound as Connor Kiernan behind the back but stepped into the crease, so that one won't count. And he's going to get a penalty here for John away with the referee. So Brampton will go to their third power play of the game with 6 minutes to go in period number 3. And Connor Kiernan off to the penalty box.
Well, we'll see it here. He's not one to really complain unless he thinks there's a reason. He gets the ball, throws it behind his back, and he was kind of forced through the crease. I wouldn't say he was pushed. He was more just kind of pressured from behind and stepped in the crease as well and fell to the floor and didn't like that, or at least what he felt from behind him. But if he looks at that replay, he might feel like he just kind of was pressured from behind and was forced into the crease there and had a couple of choice words to the official and gets the penalty for it. And will serve 2 minutes or less here for Brampton's third look on the power play, unsuccessful in their first 2.
First one was an abbreviated power play that only lasted about 1 minute 20 seconds. The second one went the full 2 minutes and they couldn't capitalize. Dylan Robinson forces a turnover 20 seconds in to the Brampton man advantage. Now trying to evade Brampton defenders, but it's knocked out of his stick. He'll go off for a change, and Brampton will reset at the offensive end of the floor here. With under 5.5 to go in the third, and a 13-3 lead for Brooklyn. Long shot, turned away by Hutchcraft. Rebound picked up by Watkinson, and Shaykowski plays it up the floor. Raposo works it off to Tanner Cook. And Cook will slow things down with Kyle Waters and Curtis Knight. Here's Curtis Knight. Tanner Cook steps in, shoots. That gets turned aside by Will Johnston. Brampton back up the floor. Connor Kiernan sitting in the box for 40 more seconds. With a goal and 6 assists in this one. Tanner Cook, 3 goals, 4 assists. Curtis Knight with 3 goals and 2 assists for Brooklyn. Josh Madero steps in, turned away by Hutchcraft, and he picks up the rebound. Hutchcraft ahead for Travassos, who picked up his first goal of the year. Shot clock and penalty clock about the same here, so if Brooklyn can hold this till the end of the shot clock, they will have killed off the Brampton power play. Brock Haley Switches spots with Kyle Waters, now plays it to Graydon Hogg. 2 to shoot, 1 to shoot, and that shot goes wide. And no deflection there, so...
I think they did actually. I think they are signaling a deflection. Or a stop, I should say.
So it was touched, so Brooklyn will get it back in their own zone and set up in behind Hutchcraft. So down the floor goes Reed Kurtz to force Connor Kiernan to pick up this ball. Killed off a good 15 seconds there for Brooklyn. Plays it off to Brady Kiernan. Long shot gets turned aside by Will Johnston. Kyle Waters wanted a shot clock reset there after Brooklyn picked it up in behind their own net. Long shot kicked out by Hutchcraft. Rebound picked up by Watkinson. Up the floor, Liam Osborne with speed. Steps in, shouldered away by Johnston. Loose ball on the near boards. Brooklyn trying to dig it free. Dylan Robinson knocked loose, and I'll set up on the offensive end is Jackson Raposo. Lost his helmet. Under 3 to play. 13-3 lead here for Brooklyn. Looking to move to 4-1 on the season. Just that one blemish on their record so far this year. That loss a week ago tonight against Six Nations. But you really couldn't have asked for a better start to the year for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club than what we've seen in the first almost 5 full games.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough second half of the year for Brooklyn. The first half, they've only played 1 game against either Peterborough, Six Nations.
Lexi Samard gets turned away by Johnston.
And as well, the Oakville Rock that are off to a great start back in the MSL this season. So the back half of the year and their final 7 games after this one, they'll have a number, I guess at least 5 of them against those 3 teams. So quite the task. 5 of their last 7 coming against Oakville, Peterborough, and Six Nations. So doing business against the teams you might have to, but they still have a tall test to prove themselves here in the MSL.
Brooklyn called for the foul at the offensive end of the floor. 102 seconds to go in the third. Like we mentioned, they're in Peterborough tomorrow, and at the end of that game, that's the official end of the first half of the schedule for Brooklyn. And you mentioned it, they'll have Oakville twice, Peterborough and Six Nations once in the last 6 games. Brooklyn will play Coburg a week from tonight.
And the next time these 2 teams will face off in Brampton, July 6th.
That's just days after Brooklyn welcomes Peterborough into the Iroquois Park Sports Center on July 3rd. As Brock Haley steps in to the crease and gets turned away by Will Johnston. Under a minute to go here in period number 3. Really just a dominating performance all around from Brooklyn here tonight. From goaltending to defending to transition game to offense, they've put it all together. And mind you, offensively, they did it without their leading scorer coming into the night. But Tanner Cook has now taken over that with 22 points on the season. Brooklyn gets over center, and game clock and shot clock about the same. So we're just winding time out here at the Iroquois Park Sports Center. Brooklyn Lacrosse Club will move to 4-1 on the season, 2-1 on home floor after a 14-4 win on Sunday in Coburg. They come home to take on the Brampton Excelsior, and they'll take this one 13-3, the final. Big win for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club to stay atop the Major Series lacrosse standings.
Yeah, Brooklyn, 13 goals. They got them from 7 different players here tonight. 2 hat tricks. Tanner Cook with 1, Curtis Knight with the other. 2 7-point nights. Tanner Cook with one of them, Connor Kiernan with the other. But don't forget Brady Kiernan, 4 assists for 4 points on the night, as well as Luke Keenan got things off in that first period. 2 goals, 2 assists on the night. But a big, big performance from Riley Hutchcraft. making 34 saves out of the 37 shots he faced in this game. Whereas Brampton a bit quieter, their leading scorer, James Whiteford, 2 assists, as well as Holden Patterson with a goal and an assist here tonight.
A 13-3 win for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club. They moved to 4-1 on the Major Series Lacrosse season. 2-1 on home floor midway through their home schedule now. Going into the back half of that home schedule down the stretch of the MSL season. Both teams back in action tomorrow night. The Oakville Rock will take on the Brampton Excelsiors at 8 p.m. at Brampton Memorial Arena. And the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club will take on the Peterborough Lakers. 8 p.m. start from the Peterborough Memorial Center. You can watch that game right here on Rogers TV, produced by our friends at Your TV in Peterborough. And then we are back a week from tonight when the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club take on the Coburg Kodiaks, June 19th, 8 p.m. right here at the Iroquois Park Sports Center. And, of course, you can watch it on Rogers TV. For our producer, John Green, my broadcast partner, Andrew Osmond, our entire phenomenal crew here at Rogers TV Durham, Brooklyn takes the win 13-3 over the Coburg Kodiaks. I'm Jack Moore saying good night from Whitby.